Hello, beautiful bestie. I am back with yet another rant. I figured I would bring more of these kind of chats to you that I would put on my podcast here, because why not? Why not? I am in a debacle. Okay, I'm at the point in my life, I'm 29 years old, I'll be 30 this year. I'm at the point in my life where everybody is having kids, announcing pregnancies. I cannot get on social media without seeing either an announcement or someone showing us their new freshly baked blubbery baby that just came out of their birth canal. Like, it's one or the other. It's all over my feed. We love it. Love the babies. Now, when it comes to me, I'm getting the question all the time, when are you going to have kids? Are you ready for kids? So, you and AJ, how many kids? You know, everyone's asking. And let me say this, okay? I'm not necessarily talking about myself, but that question, no, don't do that. You don't know what people are going through. A lot of women experience difficulties with pregnancies. Miscarriages are super common. You just don't know what you might be triggering by just asking someone, you know, when they're having kids, because you just do not know the full story. That is not my case, but I just wanted to say that because I think you have to understand that everybody is so different. You know, it's not for you to just be like, yeah, I'm ready for you to have a kid, okay? So yeah, anyways, we get the question all the time. And trust me, I don't mind it when it's our family and friends. But I wanted to have this conversation because I take it very seriously having kids. I do feel like I have a lot of fears around having kids. I find it absolutely horrifying to be in charge of someone's human life. And I also have a lot of things that I would look forward to. And I wanted to talk through those things with you today because I'm sure maybe I'm not the only one who could possibly be stressing on the possibility of having a kid or more. I made a pros and cons list because I do that for every important thing in my life. I did it for my husband. I did it for moving to Dallas. I do it for everything that's important. And so that is going to be something that I do with having a kid as well. I will say this. When I made my pros and cons list, all of the pros were very selfish reasons that benefited me and only me. And which brings me to the point that let's just agree, having kids is a selfish thing. It's not for the kid. Your eggs are not begging to come out. It's an us thing to decide if you do it on purpose. Now, there are some people who aren't having kids on purpose, and to you, I say, you got this. But for those of us that would intentionally try to have a kid, it's for us, obviously. So I think where I'm at right now is I feel the pressure, okay? The pressure cooker on these eggs is about to go off. And I'm wondering, am I behind? Are my eggs even viable? There's so many things I'm starting to think about and consider now because I would like kids. Like straight up, I think I would like one or two. But to be honest with you, it's the timing. If I could be a mother at 45, that would just be the ideal situation for me. But that's probably not the best. You know, as you get older, more risk and complications can occur. You know the drill. Now, there are women in their 40s having babies, but it might take a little more effort or they might just be incredibly fertile. So, you know, everyone's experience is different. You really can't base anything off of anyone else's life. But I think it's important to not feel pressured if you do, because everyone around you is having kids. And I know that can be really, really difficult, especially if you want kids and you know you want kids. It's hard to sit there and watch everyone around you experiencing that. Anyways, if that sounds like you, I'm not necessarily going into that perspective because I can't speak to that perspective. I haven't started to try to have kids, and God willing, you know, when I do try, I'm sure I'll share that experience with you because I share way too fucking much online. I am going to focus on the thought process that comes before deciding to have a baby. First of all, also, when people say trying to have a kid, isn't that kind of funny? Just say you fucking. Like, it's kind of hilarious. I don't know. Okay, so let's go into the pros and cons, okay? Let's start with something good. Now, I told you, having a kid, in my opinion, comes off as it's a selfish thing. Like I said, the unborn kid is not like, hey, let me out of here. No, we're like, I want a kid for some reason. And one of the reasons that I think I would want a kid is because of the character development that I would experience. Very selfish, I know. And it's ironic that I put on that list in terms of like what kind of character development. I specifically said selflessness, LOL. So I'm going to selfishly bring someone into the world so that I can learn how to be selfless. No, it's kind of funny, okay? So yeah, I want to be more selfless. I want to be more patient. I also want to experience unconditional love. Now, Hassan Minhaj, one of my favorite personalities on TV, said this exact thing about his daughter. He said that he didn't know unconditional love until he had his daughter. And it's like, you can say all you want to your partner, your spouse, that love is conditional, because if they do something bad enough, you would probably leave them. But a kid is entirely different. And so thinking about that, I'm not saying you haven't experienced unconditional love in any other way. Like, please don't go off in the comments, slow your little typey fingers down. But what I am saying is that the unconditional love you experience with your child is going to be that of which you've never felt. Yes, you have an unconditional love with your husband, your wife, your dog, your parents, your siblings. Like, yes, you have all of that as well. But I feel like there are different fonts, different variations of that. You know what I'm saying? And so when it comes to your little baby that came out of your little uterus, it's different, okay? And I want to feel that. Yeah, I want to feel that, I think. Cool. So that would be a plus. Having a character development and experiencing these emotions and things that you've never experienced before. That would just be like totally solid. So a con. Let's just get into the one that I'm most stressed out about. The state of the world. Listen, Earth is ghetto. Okay, trigger warning. There are plenty of times when I wanted to just delete myself off this planet because I can't look at what's going on. It's overwhelming me. I really fear for like the direction we're headed in sometimes. And I can't help but be like, why the hell would I bring anyone into the situation? Like, why would I want to do that? Okay, the fucking ice caps. They're melting, okay? And we all know this, and we're just like scrolling on TikTok, ignoring all of it. And I feel morally guilty for knowing that, like, you know, the state of our planet is deteriorating, and, you know, women just got more reproductive rights stripped, and Florida thinks slavery is funny. Like, I am worried for my kid. Okay, it is ghetto here. And I'm like, I love my unborn kid so much that I don't want to put them through this, because I think the state of the world has greatly attributed to my mental health, which you guys know hasn't been great. Okay. And if my kid's anything like me, they're going to feel way too much. They're going to connect way too much to the shit going on in the world. They're going to be way too compassionate and just hold on to that. Now, hopefully, I can give them the tools so that they don't make everything feel like it's their problem, because that's my problem, is that I'm looking at the fucking ice caps and I'm like, what can I do to help? And I know I can't do anything to help. I can't go get, I don't know, we could go get a bunch of Yetis and try to save them and put them in there for now. But no, I have no better ideas because I'm not the fucking government. And I feel like the government doesn't know how to government. So do I want to put a kid in the situation? Probs not. And that's a big deal to me, you know? So yeah, I'm scared. But on to a good thing. This one I would be really excited for. Like, so I believe kids are just magical. They are some of the most connected beings to like source, like the highest good, the highest power, the purest love. They come out with that shit. And as they get older and programmed and conditioned by society, it fades. Look around at every adult in the room. How are they doing? Yeah, so it kind of goes away. But what's great is when you have this beautiful little angel who just doesn't know about all of that quite yet, and there's this little glimmer of life in their eye that you haven't seen in so long. It kind of sparks something in you, like, wow, life is worth living. And I want that. I think that would be so cool to have a child mirroring the joy of life, because in actuality, I know I talk a lot of shit on being on Earth because it's kind of ghetto here, but I know life is amazing. And when I'm medicated, I can see that. But sometimes I can't see that. So I feel like with a kid, it would be easier to see the good in the world, because that baby, that life that I helped create, hopefully, God willing, is a reflection of the beautiful life that we have. And I think that's just a great reminder. I also think kids, they don't take anything serious. They don't come out with a briefcase. They don't come out like caring about a 9 to 5. They come out and they have very few priorities. And it's probably to watch Bluey and Miss Rachel and to get their goldfish at a certain time. And that's about it. right? They have very few priorities. And that's kind of cool to hang out with someone who's just not stressing out about every goddamn thing. They're just enjoying life for what it is. And I feel like I could use that reminder. I'd really like to hang out with someone who's not worried about retirement or any of that stuff, you know? And I know they get older, but I'm talking about the younger side. I really love little babies, but then they become teenagers and I know they might end up hating us. And that's a little scary too, but they'll come back. They'll come back to earth at some point. So yeah, kids are just cool. They're great. They don't even know it. They're not even trying. And I think they are the most tapped into their authentic selves. And we could really take some notes on that. I feel like I really try to make an effort to be connected to my authentic self all the time. And it's hard because I care too much about what everyone thinks. And I am conditioned by society. Spoiler. And they're not. So it could be really cool to be around that kind of influence. They're such great teachers, those little nuggets. All right, off to a con. You never know what you're gonna get with kids. So you could get a complete wild card, right? That would scare the absolute hell out of me. But I do believe that if you get that wild card, God gave it to you because you can handle it. And we're all here to learn some kind of lesson through everyone around us because we're all mirrors to each other for something that we need to work on, heal, get through, all of that. But of course, not having that control over my kids' choices, their behaviors, their life, even their experiences. Like, for example, if my kid comes to me and says that they have a bully, I don't even have words for how upset it's going to be because I know what it's like to have a bully and I know how it hurts and I can't stop that. I can only give them the tools to be able to handle it. Knock that bitch out. Just kidding. No, but like you just don't know what your kid's going to go through and you can't control it. And it's a tough thing to go ahead and sit in the passenger seat and watch it all unfold, especially when shit hits the fan. And it is going to hit the fan. Now a good, taxes. I hear that you save money on your taxes if you have a couple of them. That's pretty cool, I guess. Now to a con. Generational trauma, okay? Even though I feel like my generation is incredibly aware, we've all enrolled in some kind of therapy, we're doing ayahuasca, like we're really tapped into ourselves. We still have our trauma that is going to affect our own kids, just like our parents' trauma affected us in some kind of way. Our parents' trauma did it. It's going to happen. It is an inevitable canon event that will happen. But I think what's wonderful, and I can go ahead and like deduce this fear that I have, is that we are self-aware. Shout out to all the parents and boomers out there, but I think there's a lack of accountability and self-awareness in some of the older generations. If the shoe fits, it fits, and if it doesn't, don't take it personal. But I think we have been willing, when I say we, I mean millennials, I can't speak for any other generation, we have been willing to hold the mirror up to ourselves and point out the flaws and point out where we could be better and actively try to do better. And that's what I love about my generation, is that we really try. And I think that's also why so many of us have anxiety and depression, because we are a little too aware. And I think previously it's kind of a don't ask, don't tell kind of vibe, and we just move on and we just keep trucking along. But now we're more like, no, we about to end this shit. These generational curses are no longer happening. That's my energy. And so it requires really taking on a lot of heaviness. So yeah, that's something, of course, I don't want to pass to my kids, but I know that there are going to be some things that inevitably affect them. But luckily I can be aware and try my best to not let it affect their lives. Now a pro. Having an alibi. So like, it's awesome. If you don't want to go somewhere, you could just say, can't, sorry, kid goes down at 6. I don't have a sitter. Amazing. Life just got easier. You no longer look like an asshole. Congratulations. You have a kid. You're excused from any and everything. And that's awesome. That's honestly cool. I look forward to being able to use that little adorable nugget as an excuse. Now moving on to another con. Loss of freedom. I mean, it's obvious. Loss of freedom is gonna happen. You're gonna lose a lot of things. You're gonna lose your privacy. You may never take a shit in peace again. And that's okay, because one day when that kid is like 17 and wants nothing to do with you, you're gonna wish that they were trying to bust through the bathroom door while you were trying to push out a turd. You're gonna miss that one day. So just enjoy it and lean into it. But yeah, loss of freedom. You can't just hop on a plane anymore and go where you want to go and do what you want to do. So hopefully you can get it out of your system now, unless you have one of those kids where you want to throw them in your backpack and just take them with you. That's cool too. But it's going to be a lot harder, okay? Especially in the younger days. It's harder to sling a kid over your shoulder and travel the world peacefully, but it can be done. It can be done. So I think I will struggle with like that loss of autonomy. I am so selfish right now because I can be. I'm 29, I'm financially stable, and I have no kids. Of course I'm selfish. So it's gonna be kind of hard to rip the band-aid off and not be selfish. But I also know that when you love something and someone so much, it's not. I'm exaggerating. When these brand trips happen, you guys, it's usually a last minute ordeal. They call you like 2 days before and they're like, you wanna come to Cabo, you want to come to Italy, and it's like, yeah bitch, I'm there. But now you're gonna have to really pass up on a lot more things. So I think part of me is really just trying to get it out of my system right now because there's so much that I wasn't able to do. I mean, I've only been financially stable for a few years, you guys. So prior to that, if I wanted to go somewhere for vacation, I was going to like Little Rock, Arkansas, or like the Lake of the Ozarks, okay? But now I'm going to Turks and Caicos and other places. So I'm trying to get that out of my system because it's like, finally I'm here. I don't want to fuck it up already and just like be in the house again. I want to get out and do some stuff before I have to take a little bit of a break before this kid is old enough to come with me. So yeah, that's definitely something I struggle with when thinking about having a kid. Well, so it turns out I'm out of pros, but this is where it would be really helpful for you guys to drop a comment. There are a lot of us probably who might be on the fence about kids. Maybe we want them, maybe we're scared. Tell us in the comments, what are your favorite things about being a parent? Tell us what your least favorite things about being a parent are. We know it's not going to be rainbows and unicorns all the time. Everything in life has its cons, but be honest, get it out. Use your little fingers to type out how you really feel about being a mother or a father. And we won't tell your kids, but this is a safe space. I think it's an open dialogue, and it's really cool if we can talk about this in the comments some. And I genuinely want to hear from you, especially with this video, you guys, because this is one where I go back and forth all the time. I'm ready. I'm not ready. I'm ready. I'm not ready. And I'm never going to be ready. I don't think everyone keeps telling me that, but I think it's because they just want me to go ahead and push one out. But I don't know. I trust the besties. So let me hear from you guys. But anyways, I'm out of pros. I do have a few more cons. The last one was that they're expensive, but that's kind of obvious. So you'll find a way to make it all work out with your kids. I don't know how expensive kids are, and I think that's what I'm scared about. I'm like, well, how much is this gonna cost me? You know, we don't have a house yet. We need to get a house. Sometimes I'm like, maybe we should just get a house first. And sometimes I'm like, I was an apartment baby. I turned out okay. And then I look at like Julia Fox, and she's raising her kid in like a tiny apartment in like Manhattan or something. I'm like, well, it could be done. We can have an apartment baby and it's fine. But then I'm like, well, if we could have a house, why wouldn't we try to have a house? And then I'm like, well, how expensive are babies exactly? Can we get a house? Look, this is what being a millennial feels like right now. So I don't know. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong with any of these. I'm just being brutally honest about my thought process with kids, and I hope that nobody takes this the wrong way. I'm also like being sarcastic a little bit, so please don't take all of this too serious and just understand that this is a little ranty rant for us, bestie to bestie, like a safe space for us to have this conversation and be real with each other about the importance of really considering the pros and cons with having kids, because this is a huge deal in case you didn't know. And it is life altering, but nonetheless, one day I will probably want to have a kid. I'm slowly getting there, and I hope I'll be there soon, but I think I'm just an over preparer. I love to prepare for everything before it happens, and I think I have to accept that. With this, there will never be enough preparation, and you will be thrown into the fire. With that said, thanks for tuning in and listening to this. I just dead ass acted like this was my podcast. It's not. Thanks for watching this video. I love you guys. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. You're already hanging out. It's all right here. And if you really want to be a bestie, I wouldn't mind if you could go follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And don't just follow me there, maybe engage. Maybe comment. Let me know that you're there, because something about the besties being on my other platforms makes me feel safe. I'm not even lying to you. I love when you guys come hang out with me on TikTok and stuff, because you guys are nice to me. So anyways, I love you guys. I'll see you next week.